adjust these cameras before I start. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Please make sure that you do me a favor, and that is hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Let's make it do what it do. Let's make it grow. Let's make it go. And let's help black men to become the best versions of themselves, right? So I am not one to want to, even though I think that I make manosphere friendly, manosphere adjacent content, I don't want to be one of those people who are beating up on the lovely ladies, right? I think that men, this is a men's space, and I'm going to talk to the men. I want us to help us to become the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. I want us to become the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. And how do we do that? Well, we got to focus on ourselves, get our game up, get our cloud up, get our game up, get our education up, get our money up, do all that type of thing, right? So that's what we're focused on over here. So this is Miss Lovely Helena Pascal. I'm not exactly sure how she says her last name, but we'll just say Pascal or Pascal. And this is her channel. Now, she did a video that I watched the entirety of. I don't always agree with Miss Helena. Sometimes I think she's right. Sometimes I think she's wrong. But that's my opinion, and that's the way that things go. People obviously won't always agree with me, even though I'm right 100% of the time. But Miss Helena says, this is something she did just the other day as I record this, right? In fact, you can see down here, it says can you see it? I don't know if you can see it or not. I probably won't be able to see it. No, I can't make it any bigger. It says, it was just recorded one day ago. And I thought this was pretty good. She does, she's doing some good work. But I want to get to this, and we're going to play it. So just bear with me, but I want to kind of paint the picture and go in for the setup here. So Miss Helena has been, I don't want to use the word exploiting, but she's been talking about this education gap that we have within marriages, right? So it would seem as if, now listen to what I'm saying here, because I'm painting a picture. It would seem as if the higher that we do go with education as African American people, that we should have increased marriages, right? That's the way it should go. But we seem to be doing the reverse and doing the opposite and doing the exact opposite of that type of thing. So when I Googled around, I was doing a little bit of research, and I Googled around and I found this, right? So I'm looking at, because I watched Miss Helena's video, I then started doing a little bit of research, right? Black women educated in marriage. That's what I put in a Google bar, and it comes up with this article that we're going to read here. Black single female BA seeks educated husband. Right? We're gonna take a look at that article, and Miss Helena is doing something right, because on the first page of Google, right, she's got 3 videos. Now look at these videos. Look at the title of the videos here. We got Why Educated Black Women Can't Get Married. That was August 5th, 2023. Why Educated Single Black Women Can't Find Love. Really the same thing, right? June 20. So she did that. She did these 2 videos within weeks of each other, right? Or a month or so, 6 weeks or so of each other. And then then she did another one, Why Educated Black Women Can't Get Married. And then of course the one we're going to review is this one, Why Black Men Don't Want Educated Black Women. So there's a problem. So she's obviously capitalizing and talking about this lack of education, mostly from her perspective as a Black woman. You're Black, you're beautiful, you're educated. How come you can't keep a man, right? Same thing that we saw that Miss Ebony K. Williams, I played this numerous times. I don't know if I'm going to insert the clip here or not. I don't know. But Miss Ebony K. Williams is saying the same thing. They're Black, they're educated, they can't find love, right? They can't get married. As Helena Pascal and others are trying to answer this perplexing problem. So let's go to the article that we saw here. Let's go to this Brookings Institute article, and we're going to read that. Right? I'm going to get to Miss Helena Pascal. Trust me, I'm going to get to her, right? Single Black female BA, I'm assuming that means Bachelor of Arts, seeks educated husband, race assortative mating and inequality, right? This is from Richard Reeves. Richard Reeves and Edward Rodriguez, have, well, at least Richard Reeves has recently, I think it was like 2022 or 2023, released a book talking about of men and boys, looking at this family. He's taking a look at family, right? He's taking a look at family, and now he's in 2015. He looked at the Black education lack of their achievement, and how that correlates to the lack of marriageable marriages, right? So we're gonna take a look at the work that they did almost 9 years ago now. Let me make sure it's a little bit bigger so you guys can all see it here. I'll make it a little bit bigger, right? There is a growing trend in the United States. Let me put this over here so it doesn't look like. There's a growing trend in the United States towards assortative mating, a clunky phrase that refers to people's tendency to choose spouses with similar educational attainment. Rising numbers of college-educated women play a key role in this change. It is much easier for college graduates to find and marry each other when there are more equal numbers of each gender within an educational bracket. A media storm erupted in the spring of 2013 when a Princeton alum, Susan A. Patton, president of the class of 77, offered the following advice to female students. Here's what nobody is telling you, right? She was going to school in 1977, probably one of the heights of, right, Title IX had just been passed, right? The pill is out, legalized deletions of babies, right? So she's president of the class in this time period, right? And then now in the spring of 2013, she tells these people, here's what nobody's telling you. With all that rampant feminism going on, here's what she's saying. Find a husband on campus before you graduate. Writing in the Daily Princetonian, Patton went on, you will never again be surrounded by this concentration of men who are worthy of you. Ebony K. Williams has now just said that. She said, while you're pursuing that JD and that BA, that MBA, get your MRS degree.
So here's my advice. If you are a young black woman in college and you know in your heart and in your head that you want to prioritize family, I suggest that you simultaneously pursue that MRS degree right along with that BA or JD. Because the handful of black college-age men that actually do desire to get married soon, and they do share that value system, and family is a priority for them too, y'all, that is an incredibly small pool, and it's shrinking as you get older. And by the time you reach my age, 40, you will be faced with different choices relating to life partnership and motherhood.
She's saying the same thing. Patton was dubbed a busybody, an elitist, and anti-feminist, but while the idea of finding a spouse during college was outdated, her basic advice to marry a man worthy of you seems to be one most college graduate women were already heeding. Oh, geez. One implication of assortative mating is a greater household income inequality. Since education is strong and strengthening predictor of earnings, right? College education is an indicator of family value, family goods, right? Households with 2 college graduates multiply their earnings by 2 and are doing much better than households with less educated couples. Jeremy Greenwood of the University of Penn and colleagues estimate that assortative mating pushes up the Gini coefficient, a measure of inequality from 0.34 to 0.43. Work by Brookings Gary Burtless suggests that between 10% and 60% of income inequality in the United States is caused by the growing correlation of earned incomes received by husbands and wives. Work by Gary Burtless suggests that between 10 and 16% of income inequality in the U.S. is caused by growing correlation of earned incomes received by husbands and wives. So if you want to cut back on this, you got to go to school. You got to get your education. Assortative mating may also have an impact on intergenerational mobility since it widens the gap in resources available in different households. Families with 2 college graduates will have more money to invest in their children and may be able to afford private K-12 schools or homes in top-notch school districts. They're also more likely to have jobs that offer greater flexibility, allowing them to better balance work, life, and family. At the end of the spectrum, less educated couples or single parents are more likely to face insecure working conditions, lower pay, and limited access to high-quality schools. Race is a factor in patterns in assortative mating. Black women face more difficult markets than white women, given the current rates of intermarriage, according to work from the University of Maryland, Phillip, and Cohen. Black women have the lowest rates of marrying out across race lines, in part because of racist attitudes to intermarriage. Just 49% of college-educated black women marry a well-educated man. 49% of black women marry a well-educated black man. I wonder if that's the people who are marrying, right? So if 100 married individuals, 100 married people, not just 100 women, 100 married women in a room, 49 of them will marry somebody who themselves is well-educated. Compared to 84% of college-educated white women, according to analysis by PSID data by Vita Marialani, a Yale sociologist. In this long memo, we examine race gaps in marriage patterns in terms of educational sorting using 5-year estimates from the 2012 Ways American, yada, yada, yada. Marriage, race, and education. So this goes on. So you can obviously read this. I'm not going to read this because I don't want to bore anyone. But what I'm saying is what is being noticed here is that there is certainly a gap in the education. Now, this brother, there's a gap in the education. In the more that women move up, they don't seem to be able to get the types of men that they want. This brother here, medium man, the new black interracial marriage rates have been released, right? So this idea, going back to this other article of them marrying out, right? It's marrying out is almost non-existent. And who's marrying out more than ever is black men. Almost 1 in 5. I'm not going to go through it. Watch the video. He does a great job breaking down the numbers, right? And he takes his numbers from the Pew Research right here. And I did pull up the facts of Pew Research, right? So here's where he got his numbers from, in case anybody thinks he made it up. Key facts about the nation's 47. We were at 30 or so million. Now we're at 47 million black Americans. But what does it mean to be black? Right. So he goes through the numbers, and I just want to do this briefly. Bear with me. The black population in the U.S. has grown 32%. But a number of that has been people who are identifying as black, and those are people from Haiti, from the Caribbean, from Africa, etc. Right. So they're identifying as black, or maybe they're second generation black individuals. So they're identifying as black. The arrival of new immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean and elsewhere. Right. The black population has grown faster than the states that have historically not had a large numbers of black residents, right? So you can kind of break down and see how the states have been growing and all that. New York City has more black residents than any other metropolitan area. And the black population is relatively young, right? We got to do something about us living longer, eat right, eat more fruits and vegetables, get your exercise, get your blood pressure checked, get your prostate checked, get your mammary glands checked, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you're doing all that, right? The black population of the U.S. is relatively young. Number 6, educational attainment among black Americans is on the rise. That's great. 2022, 26.1% of black adults, 25 and older, 7.8 million people had earned at least a bachelor's degree. That was up 14%. So we're getting more education, right? A growing share, right? We're getting more education. A lot of them are women, as we can see. So men, we got to catch up, step up, right? We want people, if we're talking about marriage and family stability and all that, we got to keep up and catch up, right? Black Americans are less likely than any other Americans to be married. So even with our growth numerically, even with our educational attainment, even with our relatively young status, even with more people going into more places where we were traditionally not allowed or accepted or whatever, however you want to look at it, our numbers of marriages are still down. About a sixth of married adults, 17%, are married to someone who is not black. This includes 21% of married black men and 13% of married black women. So 100 married women in the room, 13 of them will be married to someone who's not black. Same thing, 21%, almost 1 in 5, 1 in 6 or so are going to be men would be married to someone who's not. So should we, this is a question, should we be concerned about that? Should we do something about that? So my point in bringing this, the black household has a median income of $50,000, right? So these people who want six figures and all this kind of crazy nonsense, right? Right. But if you had two people making $50,000, you get together, now you're balling out of control, right? If you're making it with $50,000, you're making it, right? You're paying your bills, you're paying 100%. If you get somebody else who's making it the same as you, and now you can be making, and now you're bringing in, you can actually cut back, and now you're 50, you can splurge, invest, buy property, travel with. That's why I don't get this. I'd rather pay 100%. Oh, okay. All right. Whatever. So back to Miss Helena, who's done 3 episodes, who's done at least 3. Actually, I'm going to go through this, right? So here's back to Miss Helena Pascal, because I want to talk about the videos that she put out, right? Right. So why? This is one day ago. Why black men don't want black women. So this is kind of what I want to take a look at, right? Here's some of the stuff that Miss Helena Pascal has done. The reason successful educated women are single. Black women don't want education men. Why educated black women can't get married. Why educated single black men, right? So this goes on and on and on and on, right? And on and on and on. But I want to talk about this, right? Because I want to talk about, as they go up in education, their ladies' prospects declines. And they seem to want men, as I talked about in this article, right? This article talks about the assortative mating strategies that they're employing. In other words, they want somebody who makes just as much as them, and is at least is as educated as they are. However, as she's trying to show you in this, what we're going to watch, here, why black men don't want educated black women. We're going to watch that one. Well, we have to figure out why this is. Well, why don't they want you? Why? So what I want Miss Helena to do, if she's going to listen to me, what I want her to do, and she may have done this. I haven't scrolled through every single one of her videos. She's got something, I don't even know, a 277 video. I have not scrolled through all of them, right? But I want to know if there is a video, and if there is, please point me to it, and I'll be loved to watch it and critique it or whatever, is why these ladies don't want men who are educated. They say that they do, but then they really don't. What makes you say that, Cap? Why would you say that? You just point out this assortative mating and this, that, and the other. Well, why don't you think that? Here's why I'm saying that. I'm basing it on what Pascal puts out. Why women reject nice guys, right? I typed in nice in the search bar. I typed in nice for her videos. I know she's done videos about this. That's why I typed it in. This makes nice guys unattractive. The most attractive thing about a nice guy, the number one reason women leave nice guys. Avoid the toxic nice guy, whatever that could be. What makes a nice guy unattractive? And here's a mix. Nice guys should be nice with women. Watch the full video, right? So this, I think it was this one, the number one reason. Here's the number one reason. And here's what I want to talk to the men right now. This video right here that's playing right there. Watch this video. Now, I want to be very, very clear, and don't misquote me on this. Be very clear when you're quoting me. I've had conversations with ladies. I did a podcast with another lady before. It's called Messy Entanglements. I don't know if we'll ever start it again, but I end up getting busy, and that's my fault. But this video right here, I've had conversations with ladies who have the perception that nice guys are just bad in bed. Now, before she's saying it here, you watch the video, you're going to play it for yourself. Ladies have told me this who I've never been intimate with. So they don't know. They don't know, right? I'm an educated guy, right? So they weren't talking about me. But Miss Helena Pascal, who I've never met, never had a conversation with, puts it in this video that was only 3 weeks ago. That's how I remember. I watched it. What's the number one reason women leave nice guys? Because you're bad in bed. And other things she said in here, I think I've watched a few of them. You're unassertive, right? You're not challenging, right? She also had something in one of these, right? Why they go after thugs? Let's put it in here. Let's see. Let's go thugs. Right? Why women reject nice guys? Why they keep dealing with losers? Why black women don't date, right? Yeah, how to get out of the friend zone, all that. Yeah, I think this is the one I watched. Why do you keep dealing with losers? So she's dealt with it, I would say, in at least one video, but we need a real good exploratory about that. You know, why this situation and why they think that these men that you here, think about this, right? A man is on his game, on his grind, going to school, going to get a CDL, opening up a business, doing what he's got to do, whatever that is for him. And he's not out in the club drinking. He's not out to 3 a.m. He's not carrying guns. You don't got charges. Listen, I was a police officer. I can tell you the nice ladies that I knew from church and knew from the business world. I knew of principals, assistant principals, black women bailing these dudes out at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm telling you that this happens. Why do they keep doing it? Why do you not go after these nice guys? Because the perception is you don't know what you're doing in the bedroom. So, and listen, we're not going to please everybody at all times. I get that, but that's the perception. So before you even get your foot in the door, you present yourself a certain way. You're not assertive enough. You try to ask her where you want to go. This stuff is a creation of supervillains. It really is. It really is. I know it's unpopular, but so I want to redo the reaction to this video. So I think I painted the picture, right? Our numbers are increasing, our education is increasing, but our marriages are going down. And they'd rather deal with thugs, they'd rather deal with losers, because they think that they're sexually better, and they don't need you for the resources that they need. Listen, I got it by myself. Everybody else, according to what Richard Reeves and these people have said, is that everybody else is going up, right? They're partnering up, but we're not partnering up. And they'd rather deal with those toxic losers, baby mama drama, all this foolishness, bail them out, take your car, drive around the neighborhood with your car, all this kind of craziness. They'd rather deal with that type of thing than deal with the nice guy. We have to ask ourselves why. And for you're a guy, listen, I'm going to do something about being a nice guy. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a series or something about being a nice guy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's on my radar to do it. But so that's Media Man, and I want to do the reaction to Miss Helena's video. I think I painted the picture. I think I talked long enough. Let's get to the video. All right, Miss Helena, we'll put me up here now, right? All right, Miss Helena, you got the floor. We're going to do a reaction to you.
Welcome back to my channel. I want to talk to you about how black men feel about educated black women. Now, I know I'm not a black man, so I can't speak on behalf of black men, but based on things that black men have told me, and even in my community tab, you can go and see what the comments are about black men in higher education. I asked, how do you feel about a black woman with a PhD? And they just went at it, okay? And I'm so happy to see that there has been a huge miscommunication in the black community, that black men actually do celebrate black women having a higher education. They actually want us to do what we want to do and go for those higher degrees, and they celebrate it. But with your degrees, especially with an attitude. I got my master's, I got my PhD, I got my JD. Celebrate leading with your degrees.
I messed up on that. I absolutely agree. And we do celebrate it. Get your degree, right? Get your degree.
Especially with an attitude. I got my master's, I got my PhD, I got my JD. You know how I got to hit, and it's a level of superiority and a complete lack of humility. It is something that makes you feel like you're better than somebody.
So I definitely agree with that. Now she's going to talk about leading with it, right? So yeah, listen, I think it's bad and in poor taste to lead with your education, period, male or female. I just think that that's bad, because sometimes, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he had just gotten his doctorate, and he was saying that you ever feel bad about it? I'm like, nah, why would you feel bad? Why would you feel bad about it? And he said, because I talked to somebody, and I'm and they only had a high school diploma, and I felt like like really kind of bad. And so I get his humility, right? You don't want to lead with that. You don't want to be put it up there that you're superior to anyone. In particular, if you're meeting someone for the first time, you find them attractive, you have some romantic interest in this person, you don't want to lead with that. Now, shame on you if you ask the question, what do you do for a living? Oh, I got my MBA and I'm a finance manager at Goldman Sachs or whatever, That's not leading with it, right? I would not classify it as leading with it, because I asked the question, what do you do? Right. But this idea that, you should just walk up there, and what she's saying is right. That air of superiority is crazy.
And when men have said that they do not care about black women having a degrees, I thought it was just in general. But men are saying they don't care about black women and degrees because it does not have anything to do with the relationship, and it really doesn't. So I want to just...
Well, now that's where I would disagree. I watched this before, but I'm going to try. I don't remember a lot of it. Now that's where I would disagree. I think that air of superiority does affect the... It does affect how the relationship is going to go, right? Particularly if you're a traditional guy, right? And listen, if you're a man, and this is the whole conversation that Ebony K. Williams is having, this is all it. If you're a man and you're on your game, on your grind, your degree means nothing to me. How does your degree help me? I'm already making six figures. I'm already driven. I'm already purposeful. I'm already doing these things. How does your degree help me? And if you only come with this air of superiority that Miss Helena's just talked about, that is complete and utter turnoff.
These real boss men, they do not desire a financial or an intellectual equal. They are not attracted to it. It is a turn off. The PP goes, burr, burr, burr. It does. I'm telling y'all the truth. They did not go to law school, L'Oreal, so they could end up with a peer.
And it doesn't help me. So yeah, get your degree. Certainly listen, when I was married, I pushed my ex to get a degree. I pushed her. Get it. Because I knew if something ever happened to me, you can actually go out there and get a job and work and support these kids, right? So get it. That's not the issue. The issue is, how does it help me? It's particularly if you want the traditional type of man who makes, and I think that type of man, that dude, you want that dude who's on his game, who's pushing the envelope, who's making the world over, who's doing his thing. You want him to be this thing, but he has goals, drives, ambitions, and standards for himself. And you have to ask the question, how do you fit into his life? If you want him, no man, I can't say no man. I would hazard to guess to say that the vast majority of the men that I'm talking about are not going to try to fit themselves into a woman's life. They're just not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. No man who's got strength and a backbone and believes in certain values is going to hold to his values. And I want somebody who's going to fit into my life. Ebony K. Williams said it. That's not why we went to school. It's not why we went to school. So.
Share some of my experience with higher education as a black woman, and in dating, and in just these general conversations that I've had with other friends that have PhDs. And let me start with, so in my DM in LinkedIn, a guy had been trying to talk to me. He has a PhD. When men try to talk to me with a PhD, the very first thing that I think, and as a woman, I think they are in debt, they're probably drowning in student loans, and they don't make no money. And so it's not impressive. Like, it's not a way to...
Is that true? Listen, I don't know. I'm not a woman. I don't know. I would think, if I meet somebody with a PhD, okay, at minimum, you're probably, doing whatever. You're either a consultant or you're working in academia or something like that. And you got to be making good money to be doing that. You might be in debt. You might be in student loan debt. Listen, I got my doctorate and I paid for mine. Mine is all free and clear. But I had a good job that helped support my education. So, I don't know this perception. this perception. So here, but I want you to listen to this because she's talking about perception here about men with higher degrees, right?
Lead into a relationship. And then I also go to their profile. I'm just being transparent. I also will go to their profiles and see what kind of scholarly academics articles, what kind of scholarly research they've done, what kind of books they've published. Are they a 10-year professor? Where do they work? I'm looking at the reasoning behind your PhD, because there's really only two reasons to get a PhD. One, to do further research to advance education, or two, to be a professor and teach it. So when people just have PhDs.
Well, I got mine because I wanted it. and I wanted to be a consultant, right? Now you can be a consultant with no degree really, but I mean, who are you going to listen to, right? You're going to listen to somebody with a PhD. You're going to be able to get on speaking tours, et cetera, et cetera. But I can understand her thought process, but even though I plan on writing some articles, I did not get it just to write. But it's not about me. This is about the perception that's out there and how it's so quick to cancel, men.
Just to say they have a PhD, it has nothing to do with anything, because I want to challenge you. Ask somebody that is leading with their PhD. I got a PhD. Ask them what was their dissertation, their thesis on. Ask them. And
no, this is just another reason to cancel, man. What does that have to do with anything? If I wrote it on the toenail fungus or the life of the botfly on, what does that matter, right? So I think that she's really being nitpicky. But this is it. This is it. So here she's going to get into it. She has a master's degree. She has a successful YouTube channel. She is some type of consultant or whatever she's doing, right? Easy to cancel men, right? Because they don't. Here's the exact reason that we're talking about. It's just so easy to cancel men. Okay, so this guy who may be good looking, we don't know, right? He's sliding your DMs, taking a chance, trying to get at you, and you're gonna go read about what he did his PhD on. The dude has one. What does that matter? So this is why I wanted to talk about the connection that I was talking about before. This connection is just crazy. The more we go up, the less successful we are with romantic relationships. Here's a master's degree woman saying this.
it will be something that make you be like, you went to school to do a paper on that? Because I'll give an example. My sister-in-law, my ex-sister.
He went to school to get a degree. Now, listen, anybody who really tell you, there's so many different philosophies when you get a doctorate, right? I don't want to exclude people with DBs and DBAs and EDDs and all that. You can become the mere fact that you have that piece of paper tells people that you know how to do research, that you can read, that you can understand statistics to a certain level, all this different type of stuff. That's really what it's telling people. So it's not about the piece of paper, but it's about the doors that are open to you because of the piece of paper. But here is a, and I like Helena, so I'm not trying to be dismissive of her, but here's a very, very narrow view of the concept of a man who's on his game, on his purpose. He was driven enough to get this piece of paper. And it really just, when I went for my doctorate, the chair of the criminal justice department was talking about, you really don't, you really, what you do your paper on really doesn't matter. Right, you are adding to the body of research, but really what you're displaying is that you have this ability to do research and all that, and that's what you're telling the world. So to isolate it to this is what you went to school for, this is what your interests are. Listen, I was a police officer. She's talking about her experiences that she's going to give. I'm going to give my experience. I was a police officer. I have a degree in leadership, a PhD, a doctorate in leadership, with a concentration in criminal justice. I wrote mine on the supervision I wrote my dissertation on the supervision of supervisors, supervision of supervisors, I don't even remember what the title was, supervisors, how they handled the the George Floyd effect and the Minneapolis and Ferguson effects, right? How they handled it. That's what I did my dissertation on, right? You can find a dissertation. I am in the process. Anybody's going to look for it. I am in the process of whittling it down from 170 so pages down to 25, so it can be. It's something I got to get on, but I'm making these YouTube videos instead of doing that, right? So that's what I did mine on. But I'm an expert in leadership. I'm an expert in criminal justice. Right? There's so many different things. I like talking about black relationships, right? So this is so just because somebody does it on the back, how cats scratch their backs means nothing in comparison to this. My point in saying this is it's so easy to cancel men. It's so easy to cancel us because we don't seem to be swaggy enough. This is what she's talking about. This guy is corny. You went to school for that. Where's your swag? She's exemplifying the very things that she talked about in other videos. This one video right here.
Sister-in-law. She was in African American studies. In fact, she was a professor, and she still is a professor. She was my brother's professor. Many of you know I spoke on him. He is an attorney, but she was his professor. So she's already a teacher, already a professor. That's who he married. So she was already teaching, already had, scholarly articles published. And then they get married. She goes on to get her JD, so she becomes an attorney. And then she quits. She decides she doesn't want to work anymore. She wants to be, a stay-at-home mom. So this is also a problem that men have, at least from my experience in my family.
Lead attorney said the same thing. You're going to school, getting your JD, your MBA, and you're quitting. Why does that help me? How does your degree help me? BGS Igmore said it beautifully. Said that, I wish I would have clipped it. If I can find out, I'd clip it because there needs to be a meme. You go into school, black women have fought for the right to go to school. And this is not to dump on black women, because as mentioned before, we celebrate your education. Get it. But it's not benefiting the family. Your education is not benefiting the family. With all the educated ladies that are out there, we have less marriages, and our black boys can't read. Your degree is not benefiting the family. And she's giving us a case study right here of a friend of hers or a cousin or whoever she is who went through the process, got her JD, and now wants to be a stay-at-home wife.
Men have that you want to get these degrees and you want to have all this education, but you're not going to make any money. So why even go if you just want to be a stay-at-home mom? So it feels like a waste of time and a waste of money. So she, she quit, and then the whole time, even when he's like encouraging her because she's spending so much money, like she loves shopping, he encouraging her, hey, just get a job, get a job, just She is what does she do? She says she's working on her book. So for like a 10-year time frame, she's working on her book. She finally does get her book published, and
10 years to write a book.
It's in some different.
10 years to write a book. 10 years. And the guy's got to deal with that. Take you out to dinner, anniversaries, to help you with the kids, support you. 10 years. What are you doing? And I'm not saying that she wasn't doing anything, but I am saying that. Well, let me just put it like this. Men, you got to be very, very cautious of this type of thing. You got to be on your game and set boundaries and standards and be the head, be the leader. If nobody wants to follow it, that's fine. But you be you. You be strong. And certainly this is a case study that she brought up. And I'm not saying that all situations, all marriages, probably not even most of them are like this story. But this is a theme.
Different universities, different colleges, but you don't really make much money from that book. They're no longer together, but and it's not because of that. It is because of other reasons, and that's another videos. But
I'm sure that didn't help. If it's other reasons, infidelity or beating, I'm sure whatever frustrations are with we want to disaggregate that. We want to disavow that. We want to dissect that. We want to cut that off and say that had nothing to do with it. I'm sure that somewhere in there, this was part of the problem. You took 10 years to do this. What were you doing the other time? You like to spend money that I'm sure that it was all part of the problem. You can't just say, you just can't hand wave and say, oh, that wasn't it. I'm sure that somewhere, if it's 5 things, that was one of the 5 things. I guarantee it.
Her dissertation, or her whole study, all the scholarly articles that she's done has been in African American studies, and it goes down a little bit further into jazz, and then in jazz she studies masculinity in the realm of jazz, and then specifically Charles Mingus. So I don't know what her actual dissertation topic was, but the niche is so tiny. Even though she's able to still do lectures and fireside chats, when you ask somebody what their PhD is in, like what did they actually study, what did they actually write on, you would be like, you already know, we ain't gonna make no money from this.
But she's doing fireside chats and all this kind of stuff. Listen, it opens, I know she's going to talk about this, she's going to say it, but it opens up the door for you to get these fireside chats where you can charge money or make books and all this kind of stuff, right? So you have to play the game, sometimes the long game. And that's the way the PhDs are. That's the way the doctorates are. You have to, I don't want to talk about doctorates, but we are talking about education here. So what we are talking about is this idea of marriage and education not mixing in the Black community. And we got to figure out how to fix that. And I think inadvertently, what Miss Helena Pascal is showing and demonstrating is the nitpickiness of when people get education. It just makes you just intolerable. It's going to come to this point. It becomes intolerable. You just become intolerable.
You know, this is purely for the advancement of education. That's why I say it should only be for 2 reasons: for research and to advance education. So I celebrate it, and I think we should all encourage and applaud education, because right now the top educated people in America are Asian Americans. They are the most highly educated people in America. Then whites, then blacks, and then it just starts to trickle down to different races. But if we want our voices to be heard in these scholarly research, in these articles that we're writing our papers on, we need to have our voices in. We need to get the.
I agree with that. I got no problem with that. But these Asian individuals and these white individuals don't have the marriage problem, the family problems, and the ghetto thug culture that we have a problem with. And that's what we're trying to solve. That's what I'm trying to solve. How is it that we can celebrate and look at the educational attainment of the ladies, the educational attainment of Black men who are all moving up in their educational attainments? Compare that to the Asian culture who are married. What is it that they're doing differently? And they're not. There's a lack of cooperation. And some of it has to do with Miss Pascal just said, the arrogance that comes with it. I have achieved this. We are still fighting these ghosts and demons and sociological and psychological problems of internalized racism that have been foisted onto us. We're still fighting them. That's the reason you seem arrogant. I'm a doctor. I'm a PhD. I mean, I wish I had that Kevin Samuels clip. I'm a PhD. Other people get their PhDs and JDs and MBAs, but they're not breaking up and they're getting married. How is it we haven't solved this problem yet? How is it we haven't solved this problem yet? And I think that this is actually, in her attempts to talk about it, she's exemplifying the exact problem. You're being so nitpicky. You're going to scroll all the way down to what this woman studied, and when a guy studies, you're going to go look at his LinkedIn page to see what he studied. Again, you do it. You can only do it on something very, very narrow. You can only do a doctorate in something that's very narrow. You're trying to find a gap in the literature. And so that's why it's become so nuanced and so little. It doesn't mean I did mine on supervision supervision on the effects, George Floyd effects, and how police supervisors do whatever they do. I can still talk about criminal justice. So that whoever she talks about, whoever she is referring to with this degree, doesn't mean she can't talk about jazz. Doesn't mean she can't talk about music. Doesn't mean she can't talk about educational music. The doors are still open to her. Again, we got to figure out how these other individuals in these other communities are married, getting along, not having the high divorce rates, not having marriages last longer than 5 years. And we got to figure this out for the betterment of our communities.
These college degrees, and we need to have our voices heard. So I definitely encourage it. I definitely applaud it. I don't look down on it, but when it comes to relationships, like I said, it's two conversations. One, the advancement of education for Blacks as a whole. Yes, we celebrate that. We're excited about that. But as far as my actual relationship, if it does not hold any value, it does not hold any value in the relationship. So I understand what men have said about that, but I do want us to come together and definitely encourage each other to get the educations, to celebrate it. But we also, as women, for the women that are listening, we do have to stop leading with it, and because it is not attractive, it's not impressive in the relationship. But of course, for the advancement and for your jobs and opportunities, and as far as jobs, I would not be getting a PhD to get a better job. In fact, I've been having, and I have no intentions of ever getting a PhD. I have a master's, fine with that. But as far as I was helping one of my clients, he's actually a COO, he's a chief operating officer, and he was like, I want to go back and, no, he said he's almost finished with his PhD. He'll be finished in fall. He was like, I think I'm going to wait to get a job after I earn my PhD. I said, you do not want to wait to get a job after you get your PhD. First of all, you're going to be overqualified. They're still not going to pay you a whole lot of money because of the PhD. So you pretty much almost work your way out of a job. You're not going to get the opportunities that you want from it.
Yeah, I've heard that. I'm not exactly sure how true that is. I have not researched that, whether that's true as far as the overqualifications. But I don't know if that really matters to the point of what I'm talking about here. So I agree with her when she said, don't lead with that, and it has to benefit the family, male or female. It has to benefit the family. And if it's not benefiting the family, then it's a worthless degree. If it is going to open up doors for you, then it's going to open up doors. And particularly when it comes to, if it's going to open up doors, it's going to open up doors. So don't lead with it. Don't be arrogant about it. I can certainly agree with all that.
Because PhD is not for that. It's for education. We know people don't really get paid a lot in education. So he was like, yeah, you're right. I should probably go ahead and just get a job. Yeah, like, just go ahead and get another opportunity. A PhD is not going to make it any better. So when people say it, I hope people understand the purpose behind it. Because even with my sister-in-law, she was getting, she's still a professor, and she's still recognizing her next goal is to become a tenured professor and just, be locked in. But it's not about the money, it's about the advancement of education. And like I said, it's usually really tiny niche that if you're thinking about, you want somebody to make a profit and increase the income of the family, it's probably not going to be there. So anyhow, I love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, none of that was true. She can still talk about a number of different things. You get a degree that is somewhere down in the niche of sociology, you can still write books about sociology. And once you become a tenured professor, that's almost guaranteed 6 figures. You still going writing tours and speaking tours and all that kind of stuff. So, but you got to just work it right,
Either you agree or disagree with me. Maybe you have the PhD and you're like, no, I got a PhD and I make a lot of money. And my husband love it. I love to hear that. But from my experience.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there because I want you guys to listen up. But I want her, if she's going to listen to me, to do a show about these women who are looking at the nice guys. And she's done it. I can't say she's done it. But looking at the guys who have these degrees and have these diplomas and are still sidelined for this, right? And she said that she's looking at, it turns her off because of this and that. I would wonder if she's done this before. I'm not going to play it, but she's done it. We talked about the reason that you leave the nice guys, and I'm equating nice with educated. It may not always be there, but there's the idea that this guy with education is an educated lame. He has no swag. He's socially awkward. He's he's not a protector. He's not a provider. He just don't have that it factor, or he can't put it down in the bed. Haven't even gotten there yet, and just assuming he can't get there. Where this other guy, you know, and that's a whole nother conversation. It's a whole nother conversation about, you know, the whole, you can't hold it down in the bedroom and stuff, but I'm not going to get into that. So this video is long enough, but to me, it's not really about that. It's about connection, right? And if he's turning you off, if his thug swag is in the street is turning you on, then you're ripe and ready when it comes to other times, right? So I'll leave it off right there, if you know what I'm saying. So let me know your thoughts, your opinion. What do you think about Miss Helena Pascal? Shout out to her. This is, I'm trying, you know, I think she's doing some good work, and I think that many of the videos that she put out, but how do we solve, many of the videos that she put out have been very good, but how do we solve this issue and this problem of our lack of marriage, Much love and peace.